Hi everyone, this is Megan the Man, aka Cartoon Star 92. Welcome to the next reaction video. Okay, today's vid we're watching is called Adventure Time Characters Good to Evil by Wicked Binge. Yeah, Wicked Binge makes videos of characters from various franchises, ranging them up to good to evil. So this is interesting. He's now doing one on Adventure Time characters. This should be really good. I've seen some of his other videos where he ranks various characters from good to evil, including characters from franchises I love. So, let's see what Adventure Time characters he ranges from good to evil in 3, 2, 1.
It's adventure time. Come on, grab your friends, because this was one of, if not the most, popular cartoon on Cartoon Network during the 2010s.
Yeah, it
Following
is.
the adventures and misadventures of a human boy and his shape-shifting dog, Adventure Time gave us hundreds of lovable characters who peppered the entire moral compass. From legendary heroes to the literal embodiment of death
It
itself.
lasted for
we
most
have
of the
a lot to
2010
cover.
decade.
I'm Kyle with Wicked Binge, and this is Adventure Time Good to Evil. But first, today's video is brought to you by our sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creatives where millions
In fact,
come
they're
together
still
to take the next
making
step in their
a few
creative
more
journey.
Adventure Time
Believe it or not,
episodes
there are actually a
on
number
HBO
of
Max
technical
as part of
skills that go
the
into running a YouTube
epilogue
channel.
series
Video editing, graphic design, video production, and
Adventure
more. If you're
Time.
interested in starting a channel yourself, Skillshare is a great place to learn from the ground up.
I forgot what it
We
was
use
called.
Adobe Premiere for Wicked Binge constantly. Skillshare has a ton of video editing classes. Skillshare is curated for learning, so there are no ads. And it's affordable. With an annual subscription, it's less than $10 a month. The first 1,000 people to use the link in our description will
Maybe
get a free
Legend
trial
Dynamo.
for Skillshare Premium membership so they can explore their creativity. The class, Video on a Budget, Prepare for Your Shoot Without Breaking the Bank by Christopher Rhodes, is a great intro to video production. If you join, you can try one of Skillshare's new live classes and connect with popular teachers while working alongside other members. We're working really hard to make 2021 a big year for Wicked Binge, as well as some of the new channels that we have in the works.
Let's just
And I
hope
that
it's
everyone
a
else who has a
good
creative
year.
idea gets the opportunity to kick off
Hoping,
their own
unlike what
projects in
last year
2021 as
was.
well. Skillshare is a great community that can help inspire your own creativity. So click the
As
link
you
below to
bummer.
join today. Thank you, Skillshare, for sponsoring us today. Please use the link in the description to sign up for Skillshare because it supports them and us. Now let's get back to the video.
Yes. Now let's take a look at what Adventure Time characters you ranked
Due
up.
to the insane amount of characters we had to go through for this list, we had to make a few rules. Firstly, no characters exclusively from the comics or video games. If they didn't appear in the show first, they don't count. Secondly, none of the gender-bent Fiona and Kit characters are on the list either, since they are fictional characters within the universe. Finally, characters who exclusively appear within the new show Distant Lands are excluded.
Distant Lands, that's
That
what
said,
it's called.
events from Distant Lands will be considered, but no exclusive characters due to the fact that Distant Lands is still running. As usual, we'll be starting with our most wholesome characters and moving down.
Yeah, I
into
don't
the
think those
depths
characters
of
are
the
canon
Nightosphere.
anyway.
To begin,
And
these
Adventure,
characters are the good.
but it's
Cold
too bad
Knight
you're
of
not
Good might
putting
be a
in Distant
surprise
Land
for some,
characters, because
but it
that
goes
shows
to the
canon too.
Wishmaster, Prisma.
Because
Prisma
that shows
resides
canon
in
to the
the
Adventure
time
Time
room
series.
at the center of the multiverse and has the ability to
Oh,
grant almost any wish asked upon him. He might not
Prismo.
seem like the obvious choice for
Yeah,
top
he has the ability to
contender,
grant
but
wishes.
throughout his many appearances, it is shown that he is one of the most benevolent creatures in the multiverse. Prismo grants Finn the wish that creates the farm world timeline since the Lich didn't exist, and becomes good friends with Jake. He's even willing to give up his life for his friends, allowing Finn and Jake to kill him by waking him up, which allows them to go to the Citadel and find Finn's real dad. Prismo does eventually come back through some time travel shenanigans, and even though he couldn't bring back Margie's or Betty with all his power, he no doubt takes our gold medal. Moving on, the
Yeah,
silver
he
medal
takes
of
the gold
good
medal.
goes to Minerva Campbell. Finn's mother from the distant Hub Island. She was a citizen of Hub Island known as a helper or doctor. She was on the front lines during the
Oh yeah, I
disastrous
know her. She
Island's
died and she had to
cataclysm,
make a
which
million
was the
clones of
disease
her.
accidentally created by Dr. Gross. When all the other helpers started to die due to the virus, she decided to upload her consciousness into hundreds of robots that take her place as helpers around the island. The only reason she doesn't take our top spot is because she is shown to be controlling when it comes to her son Finn and trying to stop him from going back to Ooh. She eventually relents and even brings the other humans to Ooh during the finale. However, her son Finn takes our bronze medal of good. This may surprise some that he doesn't take the top spot. Finn is a well-known adventurer and hero in the land of Ooh, who has done a multitude of heroic things during his time there. He's saved Princess Bubblegum and other princesses multiple times, no matter how he feels about the princesses themselves. He is kind, brave, and selfless, willing to put himself in harm's way, no matter what the outcome may be. He was thought to be the last human in Ooh for the longest time, and got soul-searchy whenever he thought about it. He was also willing to sacrifice himself to the Oozers during the events of James II. But Finn is not all fun and games. He also has a bit of a dark side, wanting revenge on his father in Wake Up. However, most of the time he is almost incapable of doing evil actions, hence his bronze medal of good. Finn is truly a good, noble, and righteous hero. Everyone's good friend, BMO, gets the 4th place spot on our good list.
BMO!
is the living video game / computer system that lives alongside Finn and Jake in the tree fort and is often said to do weird stuff when no one is around, such as talking to their reflection that they named Football, or giving voices to animals or objects while they investigate things.
Yeah, it's kind of
While they
weird.
say they have no
What kind of
emotion,
weirdo does
they're
that?
also shown to get angry and very protective, claiming that they would kill someone if they hurt Finn, and even refusing to let the two enter the video game world when they wanted to during Guardians of Sunshine. BMO definitely
Yeah, I remember
deserves
that.
this spot right outside the top 3 on our list. Next up are Joshua and Margaret.
Okay, Joshua
and
Margaret.
are the biological parents of the adoptive parents of Finn and Jake.
Or
They don't
Josh
appear
and
very
Marge
often
for short.
outside of flashbacks, but from what we've seen, not only do they seem to be good parents, but they were paranormal investigators and dedicated themselves to helping people, even going as far as to adopt an abandoned baby they find in the woods. Up next is Sweet Pea. A bit of a weird one to rank because he is the reborn version of the Lich raised by Tree Trunks and Mr. Pig.
Yeah, he's
Sweet
basically
Pea
a
has been
reincarnated
shown to
version of the
struggle with
Lich.
the Lich side of himself in episodes like Gold Stars, but most of the time he is shown to be a sweet child who loves his parents and other people, so much so that he can be manipulated by evil people like King of Ooh in Toronto. Towards the end of the series,
I remember
he pretty
King of
much
Ooh, he's a
destroys
jerk.
his Lich side, and when we flash forward into the future, he is a giant and seems to be a heroic adventurer, cementing his place here. While kind of weird, Banana Man does rank
The
in our next
Banana
spot.
Man?
Banana Man doesn't appear often in the show, but when he does,
His
he is
face.
quite often shown as a spacefarer and
Banana Man's
adventurer
face
who
cracked
built his
me
own
up.
rocket ship to leave Ooh. Banana Man seems to be good friends with Finn and Jake, going as far as to help them fix their truck, Hot Daniel, in exchange for just hanging out. He doesn't have any major evil intentions, even saving Jake from the vacuum of space when he found him floating out there. Banana Man even managed to save the Candy Kingdom from a lizard replica of Princess Bubblegum. And while he did
Oh, I
get
remember
arrested
that.
for indecent exposure, it was for the good of the Candy Kingdom. Plus, who could stay mad at someone voiced by Weird Al? Legendary hero Billy is up next. Billy is a legend in the land of Ooh and is a major heroic influence of Finn's. Billy was once the legendary warrior who put down the Lich into the Amber Prison within the Candy Kingdom and saved princesses much like Finn and Jake do now. When Billy got older, he started to believe that defeating evil was futile since new evil would eventually rise. He stopped fighting evil and became a hermit. It wasn't until Finn
Yeah,
and
he
Jake
became a hermit.
convinced him that he
The
started
old
to
hermit.
fight evil again. And while that did lead to his death at the hands of the Lich, he died a hero. The royal captain, Root Beer Guy, earns
Yeah,
the next spot.
Village had to
Root
use
Beer
his
Guy,
pet to
later known
impersonate him
as
by
Dirt
using
Beer
his body.
Guy, appears in the eponymous episode late in season
Like
5
Weekend and
and became
Bernie,
a
but
series regular soon
weirder.
after. Root Beer Guy was the captain of the Banana
evil.
Guards and tried to lead them into a much better state than they were in prior. His first appearance shows him trying to save Princess Bubblegum, who he thought was kidnapped by Finn and Jake. And while this was a test for the Banana Guards, this lands him the job of captain. He easily becomes one of the most heroic characters in the show, even sacrificing himself in a heroic last deed.
Yeah, he had to
Come
sacrifice
back as
himself
a
because of
zombie
Marja the
known
Sky
as
Witch.
Dirt Beer Guy, and eventually starts to run the Candy Tavern. And while he doesn't know his own strength, he does try his best to get back with Cherry Cream Soda. Next is Kara
Yeah, that's his
Susan
wife,
Strong,
Cherry Cream
the
Soda.
first human we saw that wasn't Finn. Kara, like Finn and other humans, is from Hub Island outside of Boo and was a seeker, someone specifically enhanced to hunt down and capture people trying to leave the island.
That's true.
Susan had a cybernetic implant in her head that forced her to do whatever she was told to do from someone like Dr. Gross, such as destroying her best friend's boat. Now, these actions were done without her input since she had the implant in her head. Later on, she becomes part of the mutant tribe of humans with guilds. Susan eventually came to the surface thanks to the help of Finn and Jake and had to get used to surface life again, even having to relearn English. Susan became fast friends
Yeah,
with
because
Finn
remember
and
what
had
happened
help with
last
his handful
time?
of gloves. Shadow creatures that took over where the tribe used to live. Eventually, she finds out about her past
Those are called
identity
wub
and helps
glubs.
Finn go to Hub Island.
Wub glubs.
Eventually, she reunites with her friend Frida and starts to adventure alongside her. She's a good friend that only gets taken down a few pegs thanks to trying to eat multiple candy people. Flying into our next spot comes Lady Rainicorn. Lady Rainicorn, or Lady as she is more regularly known, is one of the mysterious Rainicorn species from the Crystal Dimension and the royal steed of Princess Bubblegum. Not to mention being the wife of Jake. Lady is a loyal person and loving mother, protecting and helping her friends and family. Even going
Yeah,
as
when
far
Lady
as
Rainicorn
beating
became
up her
pregnant, Jake
ex-boyfriend
decided to
Lee
live with
for her son.
Rainicorn for a
Lady
while.
even tries her best to
Till
make
the
Jake
puppies grew
happy
up.
by becoming friends with Finn during My Two Favorite People. Lady only lands here due to not having very many episodes where she leans either way, landing in the lower end of our good spectrum. Half-baked but fully lovable, Cinnamon Bun is next on our list. Cinnamon Bun was a bit of a weird one to rank since he technically appears in two completely different states throughout the show. For most of the show, he was in a quote-unquote half-baked state, where he was a clumsy and dim-witted candy person who was subject to many of Princess Bubblegum's experiments, leading him to find her as an evil person. He does get hit by a fire blast and becomes fully baked, where he becomes a stoic and courageous knight in the Fire Kingdom. While he used to be quick to anger, he becomes a loyal fighter for Flame
Yeah, he
Princess.
used to be dumb
He even
until
saves
this
Finn
happened.
during the Elements event, so he earns his spot here. Next up is Nepter, which stands for Never-Ending Pie-Throwing Robot. Nepter was a robot created by Finn to prank Jake by throwing pies at him. Nepter came to life thanks to a stray lightning bolt and became like a son to Finn for a while. He did eventually get hit by one of Ice King's bolts, which turned him slightly evil, giving him urges to do evil things. He did become Finn's pranking companion and a permanent member of the Tree Fort, even trying to befriend Bimo, only to be rejected by the other robots. Stealthily landing in our next spot is Huntress Wizard. Huntress Wizard is one of those background characters who started to become a common recurring character towards the back half of the series. Huntress Wizard
Yeah,
is
like
shown to
most
be a
characters, like
laid-back
some
and
characters in
sarcastic
various
person and a
franchises, they
potential
start
love
off as
interest
minor
for Finn.
characters,
She has a fear
but
of
then
going
when the
soft,
series went
so
on,
much
they
so that
became
she won't
recurring
even think
characters.
about dating Finn because of this fear, despite her obvious
So she's
feelings
one
for
of
him.
those.
She will even put herself in the way of danger for Finn and will defend Candy Castle from Fern and Gumball. She is truly an exceptional beast. But that wraps up our good area. We now move into the neutral territory. This is the gray area. You may be surprised that he ranks this low, but first up in the gray is Jake the dog.
Why is
Jake
Jake
one of the
on
most
there?
interesting cases to rank on this list for a few reasons. Jake may be an adventurer and overall good person like Finn, but there's more beneath the surface with him. Jake was once a criminal prior to his adventuring life with
Oh,
Finn,
yeah, he
part of
was a
group
criminal
alongside other criminals. And his criminal tendencies get so bad that he sometimes steals things without noticing and tends to lie quite often. He even pretended to be a conductor and murder people, and once talked about punching
Well, he didn't
angels.
actually murder him, he
However,
just
it's not all bad with Jake. Jake is a loving father and older
replaced him
brother,
with
and is not
skeletons.
one to shy away from an adventure with his best friend and brother, Finn, willing to put his life on the line not only for his friends and family, but for the entire land of Ooh. He may land in the gray area, but just barely. We had a premonition that the cosmic owl would rank here. Like the name implies, he is a cosmic entity that looks similar to an owl, often appearing in the dreams of people who are about to die.
Hi,
He doesn't
cosmic
appear very
owl.
often, but when he does, it tends to mean something bad is going to happen to someone. For example, he prophesies the breakup of Finn and Flame Princess, and straight up calls Ice King a sociopath. He's also
Oh, man.
prophesized to completely
I remember, he
obliterate
called
the
him a
creatures known
sociopath.
as Direwolves by eating them. And he is also shown to be good friends with Prismo, and seems to be a sort
Oh,
of
yeah,
coward, based
oh,
on him
yeah, it is
running
mentioned
away
that
when
that
talks about
it ate
killing a
that ate
cosmic
Y
entity
wolves.
came up. But it's not like most people would run away at that point. But Mr. Pig ranks in our next spot. Mr. Pig is
Yeah, I
the
wondered
current
why Mr.
husband
Pig is
of
on
Tree
here.
Trunks and the adopted father of Sweet Pea. He is an example of someone who was forced to do things against his moral compass, since he had to eat the people captured by Jaybird. Although later he called it a job for money, so it's hard to say which is the truth. He does help Tree Trunks find her missing apples that were being stolen by birds, and tries his best to raise Sweet Pea by
They
the
thought
best
they were
standards
stolen by
he could
criminals,
muster
but it was
with
actually
Tree Trunks.
birds.
He may have been a criminal at one point, but he's certainly not
Besides, the
first.
criminals
Check,
called
please, because
called their
Shelby
diamonds
comes in
apples.
next. Shelby is the worm that lives inside Jake's viola, and seems to be good friends with both Finn and Jake. Shelby is always shown to be very smart and often the smartest character in any given room. However, his hubris hinders him habitually, and due to his perceived intelligence, he often gives out false information that people take at face value. His friendship also wavers at times, such as when he wished for a pony for his girlfriend instead of a passage to the Citadel for Finn and Jake.
Okay,
which
who wishes a
eventually led
pony
them down the path
for
of accidentally
someone's
killing
girlfriend?
Prisma. Shelby isn't a bad person most of the time. He's just a smart aleck and a bit too cocky. The most entitled character of the show, Lumpy Space Princess, comes into our next spot. LSP is very obviously the princess of the dimension known as Lumpy Space, and is
Lumpy
often shown to
Space,
be
that's a
bratty,
weird dimension.
attention-seeking teenager. She always tries to be the center of attention, complaining about
It looks like
sharing
that
too small
lipstick,
rocks in
but
Gotcha,
that's actually
or
from a fruit
interrupting
pie she's
Finn
been
to talk
eating.
about her boyfriend during the events of the Creeps. She even intends to trash Tree Trunk's wedding since she thinks every party is for her. However,
It's
there are
not
a couple
for you,
saving
Lumpy.
graces for the princess. Firstly, during the events of Elements, it's revealed that LSP is the fifth element compared to slime, ice, fire, and candy, and has the ability to divert things back to their true state. While this does lead to Gumbait and his family coming back, that is not her fault. The other saving grace is that all Lumpy Space people are shown to be rude and annoying, making this a genetics issue. Her crimes are not nearly as bad as some others, and she doesn't.
Yeah, even though she
reverted
reverted everybody back to normal, she also reverted Princess Bubblegum's evil family back to normal.
Marceline, the vampire queen.
Because they were
Marceline
turned
is
into
a
candy
vampire and
people.
has lived for a very long time prior to the events of the series, even surviving the Mushroom War during her childhood. She has a really interesting lineage.
Yeah, she did
since
survive
she's
the
half
Mushroom
human
War, as
and
you can
half
see
demon,
from
thanks to being the
stuff like
daughter of
Adventure
Punson
Time, Distant
Abigail.
Lands, and
And then
Steaks.
sometime prior to the series, she was turned into a vampire, and became the final vampire after slaying the court of vampires who turned her. Marceline was abandoned by her father, lost her mother, and thought she was abandoned by her, and even abandoned by Simon when he quote-unquote sacrificed himself for her. Her first appearance has her kick Finn and Jake out of their tree fort since she once owned it, and at one point even kicked them out of the cave they found.
Yeah,
so
I
that she
once
could
thought
live
she
there.
was a jerk.
But as time goes on,
Because she kicked
becomes
them
a
out
better
of the
person,
treehouse and the
especially
cave
towards
because
Finn
she
and
lived
Jake, who become
in
good
both
friends with her.
places.
Marceline isn't all bad though, as during the events of the show, she would have saved the tumultuous Glass Kingdom from a destructive dragon twice over.
Yeah,
But
that was from
one
Distant
queen to
Lands.
another, Flame Princess ranks next. Flame Princess
Ooh,
comes
Flame
from
Princess.
the Fire Kingdom, where all the residents are evil to some degree, and this is mostly the fault of the Flame King, who we'll talk about later.
Flame King's a
Flame
jerk!
Princess was locked up in a lamp for 14 years prior to the series until Jake convinces the Flame King
Flame
to let her out
Princess's
so she could
dad's
date
a
Finn.
jerk.
She does get better, showing she is not naturally evil, and was only raised that way by her father. Yes,
Yeah,
she
she's
does
not really
overthrow
evil.
her
She was
father
just
and
raised by
becomes
her
the
dad.
Flame King, but as a ruler, she instills a new style of ruling based on honesty. But that's only because throughout her entire life, she was lied to. Not only by her father, but by people she perceived to be her friends, such as Princess Bubblegum and Finn. If she was truly evil, she would have tried to destroy the Candy Kingdom as suggested by her brother. But
Yeah, that's
even
true.
with Princess Bubblegum's constant sneakiness, she doesn't start a war with them. She's not evil like her father tries to convince her of. From fire to ice, next up is Simon, Ice King. Simon starts off the series
Well,
as
Ice
your
King is
average
known
princess kidnapping villain of the week and stays that way throughout the first few seasons. But as time went on and characters became more nuanced, Ice King was one of the first to get a more expansive backstory. We find out that he used to be a scientist prior to the Mushroom War and found a very special crown that would slowly
Yeah, and the
turn
Christmas
the user
special is
crazy.
revealed
Simon
that he
tried
has
to
a
stray
shocking
from
past.
using the crown as much as possible, especially after his fiancée Betty disappeared due to time shenanigans, leading Simon to believe she ran away because of him and the crown. But even after his usage of the crown turned him slightly crazy, he was still shown to be a loving and caring individual, as he found and saved the young Marceline, also giving her the teddy she would cherish for years to come. He even sacrificed
teddy's called
himself
Hambo.
and his sanity to save Marceline, and self-sacrifice definitely nets points. Where he falls short, however, is when the crown is in play, kidnapping princesses to force them to be his wife, creating Princess Monster Wife out of stolen pieces of princesses, tricking people,
Yeah,
forcing
Princess
Finn and
Monster
Jake to
Wife.
become
That
statuesque
was
in the
another
episode
thing.
Still, or spying on Finn and Jake as the creepy horse in the eyes. He may not be extinction
Yeah, he
level or
stalked
anything
them
of
as a
that
horse.
nature, but he is definitely deserving of
Creepy.
this side of the gray area. But
Very
next,
creepy.
in a perhaps unacceptable ranking, is the Earl of Lemongrab.
Unacceptable!
Lemongrab.
He's voiced by
For purposes
Justin
of our
Roiland, the
list,
guy
we're
who
ranking
created
all
Rick and
three
Morty.
Lemongrabs as one creature. The current Lemongrab is known
No,
as
the guy who
Lemongrab
co-created
3,
Rick and
but he
Morty.
comes from the combined pieces
He
of
didn't really
Lemongrabs
create it.
1 and
He
2,
created it
but we
with
will just
Dan
refer
Harmon.
to them as Lemongrab. Lemongrab has shifted throughout the series, and his very recognizable Justin Roiland voice has pierced Adventure Time since his inception. His very first appearance is him usurping the throne.
Yeah,
from
before
his
Rick and
mother,
Morty was a
Princess
thing,
Bubblegum,
when I
she
first
was 13
Lemongrab,
in the
he reminded me
episode
out of
Too Young.
Oscar from Fish
Lemongrab
Hooks.
was deemed
By
Bubblegum's experiments to go
Oscar's
wrong,
voice actor
even
Justin
though he hadn't
Roiland.
brought up her family yet. And after being given 3 candy people to govern, he turns Lemongrab into a totalitarian city-state. Lemongrab also has no impulse control, as the first Lemongrab decided to eat the second Lemongrab when he got out of line. When the two are combined into the third Lemongrab, he becomes a much less chaotic entity since he inherited traits of both halves. Lemongrab goes on an
Oh yeah, he
introspective
created the
journey
first
during
half
his
as a little
journey up the
friend,
mountain of
but
Matthew,
things
and
get
even
chaotic
sides with his mother in the Gum War.
when he was playing with a little doll, and then things got up, he ate half of him, and
To think
then became a
Lemongrab would
huge
rank lower than
dictator.
this is unacceptable.
But we're
From
destroyed.
created to creator,
Thanks to
Princess Bubblegum is next. Princess Bubblegum is a perfect example of never judging a book by its cover. For the longest time, PB seemed like a perfect angel who needed to be saved every couple weeks. However, much like Ice King, as the show went on, we got to know more about her, and the further down this list she fell. Princess Bubblegum is a scientist, and has created a long list of creatures, including the candy people she rules over. She once created 3 more gum people, her uncle, aunt, and cousin, who would then try
those are
and
people
betray
I
her.
mentioned.
She would create Lemongrab, who's a bit crazy, and she would even accidentally create candy zombies twice. But not only does she put candy life over others, such as putting the duties as princess over her relationship with Marceline, but she is shown to be willing to slay Flame Princess if need be. Now, we could touch on all the rumors the Veritas Brigade spreads about her, but we only have so much time. She's not all bad. She tries to warn Finn and Jake about the Lich when he was possessing Billy. She stopped Multilarva from destroying the Glass Kingdom and created the Gumball Guardians that protect the Candy Kingdom and its citizens. She may not be the best person, but she's at the very least a good princess. PB to PB, Peppermint Butler is next.
Peppermint
Butler
Butler.
is one of the weirdest characters to rank on this list because
Yeah, he
he's
is
the most
very,
secretive
very
character in the
weird.
entire show. What we do know about Peppermint Butler is semi-incriminating, as he is a master occultist and seems to be good friends with Death. He's a vengeful little peppermint, turning Peacemaster's children
Yeah,
into half-demons
at the
and
end of
killing
that
random
one
goblins.
episode,
But he's an
he
ever
turns
diligent
demonic
worker
because he
and
wants
was
them
able
to
to tell when
flesh, and
Princess
he's all like,
Bubblegum was
I'm gonna
possessed by the
take
Lich,
three
showing his
one
loyalty to
straight.
her. He's also
Which is
heavily
kinda creepy.
prepared, keeping a vampire hunting kit for if Marceline goes feral. He does get turned into an infant peppermint thanks to Gumball's Dum-Dum juice, but that doesn't change anything since he's shown reading a dark magic book in the finale. We know that the next episode of Distant Lands will focus on him, but as of writing this, it's not out, so the events of that will not be taken into account. Landing the
Yeah, we
loyal
don't know when
butler
that'll
here.
come out.
Next up with his ever-changing name is Magic Man. Magic Man was a normal Martian who dabbled in magic, whose life changed forever when Gold took his wife. Like
That guy's
all
weird.
wizards, he was struck with magic, madness, and sadness, and while he helped create the Martian Defense System, MARGLES, he started to commit multiple annoying atrocities on Mars, such as animating Martian shadows to attack their users, or making all Martians bald. He was sent to Earth, where he continued to be mostly an annoyance, such as turning Finn into a giant foot, or turning a bird inside out. After
Yeah,
some
those were all
shenanigans
kinda
via
weird.
Betty Groff, he becomes Normal Man and tries to make amends, rescuing his brother's heads from space.
Yeah, he became
and also
Normal Man
trying
because,
to save
well,
them from
Betty
the
took
tiny
his
manticore.
hat and she
He
became
eventually
Cray
becomes
Cray.
king of Mars and tries to do the best for his people, but he ranks this low because he did summon Gold to Ooh in a
Never
selfish
really liked
attempt
Betty,
to save Margie's, and he's a general annoyance.
I
He's
never
also
really liked
selfish, but in a
Betty.
much smaller way. Next up is Hunson Abadir. Hunson is the
Ever
father
since
of
the events
Marceline and the
of
ruler of the Nightosphere, Adventure Time's version
the
of
Adventure
Hell.
Time
Hunson does take
Elements
on many
miniseries.
aspects of what we would
I
consider
trusted her at
Lucifer,
first. I
but
thought with
it's
that hat
shown that
she'd
he's
still be
mostly a
good,
good
but
guy when not working. Episodes
as the
later in the
miniseries
series
went on, I
show that even
started
though
not
he was
liking her.
described
I
as
thought
pure
she was
evil,
a
this
huge
seems to
evil
be
character.
because of the Nightosphere amulet, as when Finn uses it in It Came From the Nightosphere, it's shown that the amulet turns the user into a devilish leader. Hunson may have eaten countless souls, and his daughter's fries, but his consistent attempts to make it up to her stop him from dropping into the bad and evil category. But with that said, that wraps up the gray area. We now move into the bad and the evil. Starting out this category is Aunt Lolly. Lolly was created alongside Gumball and Chiclet by Princess Bubblegum to be a family for her, but they quickly plan to betray her. Lolly works alongside Gumball and Chiclet in trying to overthrow Bubblegum, and she does get tricked by Gumball into eating the Dum-Dum juice, which would leave her trapped in the body of a candy person for thousands of years. Sure, she helps plan the Gum War and attempts to turn Princess Bubblegum into a candy person using the Dum-Dum juice, but she turns over a new leaf at the end of the series and stops Gumball from double-crossing her niece, and even helps Bunny fight Gold.
Yeah,
She may
she's
not
the
be
only
the
one
best
of the
person, but she
Gumball
does
family
shift
to
sides
stay in
and
their
stops
original
an
form.
attempt on a princess's life. She may be bad, but
Because
she's
the
not
other
the worst
two
in the
turned
series.
back to their
The
candy
evil,
forms.
evil Flame King comes in next. Flame King is the previous ruler of the Flame Kingdom and killed his brother to do so. Flame King is just a legitimately bad person and an even worse father, having left his daughter to wander the wilderness of Ooh in fear of her overthrowing him, and then locking her up in a lamp after that. He tried to gather an army to overthrow his daughter after she locked him up in the same lamp, but the plan fell short thanks to Bun Bun, and he became the Squirrel King. Flame King did forgive his daughter for locking him up, but offered no apology of his own. Even though he's a bad dad, he's nowhere near the worst in the series. The feline hitwoman, Meow, ranks in our next spot. She is a second-class assassin who was assigned to kill Wildberry Princess
I never
and
liked
tried
her.
to do so by hiding in a pie. She
Even
also
though she's
tried to
voiced by
poison
Anna
Jake with a
Yeast,
poison
I
that was
still don't
designed
like
specifically to kill dogs 50 times his size. Her whole goal is to kill not just the princess, which could cause serious problems, but she has no problems with leaving bodies around. The only reason she doesn't rank any lower is because she is required to do this for money, as shown when she becomes a bounty hunter. Finn's felonious father, Martin Mertens, lands in the next spot. Martin has the answer to a long-burning question about Finn, who his parents were. He has no memory of his son Finn, and has been wandering Ooo and eventually the universe, continuing his scams that got him in the whole heap of trouble that caused Finn to end up in Ooo. Martin would scam people trying to leave Hub Island by tipping off the Seekers and having them find the hiders. And this led to his legs getting broken and him meeting Minerva. His scams got him into a lot of trouble later on, as the people he scammed would come back and cause him to get attacked by an island guardian. He does a sort of self-sacrifice by destroying one of the Guardian's eyes with his laser, and Martin washed away. But that self-sacrifice does not stop the fact that he ended up in the Citadel, reserved for people who committed cruel cosmic crimes. What he did is unknown, but it can be assumed it's really bad. He also ends up tearing off Finn's arm by accident when Finn tries to hold on to his escaping ship. He tricks a group of gullible koala people and leaves one of them to be arrested. He eventually left with the Catalyst Comet after trying to reconcile with his son. We didn't drop him any lower because while his crimes may be cosmic level, we don't know exactly what they are, and he does try to change for the better in the end. Next up is Gunter. Gunter is by far the weirdest character to rank on our list because of his, or her, backstory as Orgalorg, the Breaker of Worlds. Gunter is Ice King's personal servant and a troublemaker who just loves to break bottles.
I thought he was a normal penguin at first, but it turns out he's an alien.
Even going as far as to try and break the head of a Gumball Guardian. Even though he tried to cause a lot of trouble, he seems to worship Ice King, as he stops when told by Ice King, and when he gets Ice King's crown, he becomes the mischievous Ice Thing. He only ranks this low because of his previous life as Orgalorg, who tried to rule the solar system by use of the Catalyst Comet. Now he's just a weird little Ice King lookalike and deserves this spot. Perhaps a surprise, but next is Tree Trunks. Tree Trunks is an unassuming tiny elephant and is seemingly a regular old farmer until you dig into her backstory. Tree Trunks is an ex-pirate captain who blew up her whole pirate ship when one of her ex-husbands tried to cause a mutiny. And we never saw any of her crew get off the ship, meaning she probably killed them. Stranded the aforementioned ex-husband on an island, and then became Portian, the Crystal Queen, the insane leader of the Crystal Dimension, who tried to kill Finn and Jake. She ranks lower than Gunter because she doesn't have an excuse for these actions being from a previous life. Even though technically, as Quartzian, she was driven mad with crystal power, which docks a few evil points. Half grass demon, half sword, Fern grows into our next spot. Fern is the result of two of Finn's swords forming together and creating one being. Fern has a lot of issues since he was shown to be very angry when he couldn't do a lot of things that Finn could do since he had all of Finn's memories. As the series went on, he grew more reckless and more frustrated, wrecking the tree fort, viciously killing multiple grass creatures, and even trying to replace Finn by trapping him in a dungeon. He stole Starchy's motorcycle and punched the grassy wizard as hard as he possibly could. All of this ends up with him being chopped to bits on accident by Finn and seeking revenge when Gumball recovers him. He becomes the Green Knight who teams up with Gumball during the Gum War and tries to kill Finn multiple times. It's not until Finn reminds him that they are one and the same and Fern slays the grass demon controlling him does he make up with his human half. This does end in his death, but Finn honors his final wish and plants him where the tree fort used to be. He is mostly misunderstood, which does help him in the end, and we can see why he's a fan favorite.
He immediately
and powerful, Patience St. Pym is next. Patience is an apt description of her, as when she found out about the incoming power of the witch, she freezes herself and waits at the bottom of the sea for hundreds of years. As soon as she escapes her icy prison, she tries to gather the new elementals and force them to come together using the Ice King's kidnapping skills and freezing Finn and Jake. She's also the sole reason for the elemental overload that causes the miniseries Elements and all the problems that stem from it, such as the return of Gumball, Chicle, and Lolly. The elemental overload caused her to fall into a deep depression and fell back into an ice prison to not deal with any consequences. staying that way for another 1,000 years. We say good riddance.
Yeah, we never
Magic,
saw her ever
madness, and
since she
sadness.
put her
Betty
back
Groff
into a
is next.
block of
She was
ice.
Simon's fiancée during the time period of the Mushroom War, and due to some time shenanigans, ended up in Ooo in the present day. Betty took it upon herself to try and save Simon from the crown, and while these actions are noble, they come far too late to be useful to Ice King. She tried many things to save Simon from the crown, even taking all of Magic Man's magic, madness, and sadness upon herself to gain the power to try and do so. She went insane,
Yeah, she became
doing everything from
Monkey
stealing
Palmer.
his crown to infecting it with an evil AI to try and cure it. She even stole the Enchiridion and gems, and even betrayed Finn, dropping him from the Cloud Kingdom. Not to mention she was the reason Golb was summoned to Ooo and is directly responsible for all the problems it caused. When she reverted back to her original state, she did utilize her final moments to fuse with Golb and leave Ooo. A very heroic self-sacrifice, which stops her from being any lower on the list. Cruel Cousin Chicle, commonly considered Crunchy the Cookie, is up next. Cousin Chicle, like Gumball and Lolly, was created by Princess Bubblegum to be family to her and tries to overthrow her alongside the rest of her family, excluding Nettie, by splashing her with the Dum Dum juice, only to be tricked by Gumball and become Crunchy the Cookie. Crunchy is just as much of a maniac as Chicle is, maybe more so, wanting to execute Starchy and even pushing the King of Ooo into a fireplace, having gone mad with power. He does revert back to his original state thanks to LSP and tries to help Gumball create Gumbaldia to war against Princess Bubblegum. If it wasn't for an accidental spill of the Dum Dum juice on him, he may have been a much larger threat in the Gum War. They're gonna take one spot together. The King of Ooo and Toronto are next. The King of Ooo and Toronto are a criminal duo who focus on scamming large groups of people by pretending to be the rightful ruler of all
Never
of
liked
Ooo
you,
and his pet
King of
dog.
Ooo.
The
You're
King
a
of
jerk.
Ooo holds a cult-like sway over certain members of Ooo and often uses them to siphon money. This helps him become the ruler of the Candy Kingdom.
You're
The
a
two
jerk.
of them also use the most gullible person in the show, Sweet Pea, to steal money, which is just despicable. The King of Ooo might be bad, but Toronto is probably worse. He was willing to murder Sweet Pea and burn down Tree Trunk's apple orchard, left the King of Ooo for dead with as much treasure as he could carry, and even tried to trick Flame Princess into signing away the Flame Kingdom. They're con artists, and by far one of the biggest threats in the show. So they cement their placement
You're
here.
kind of like our
Fifth
past,
place of
our
Mephisto.
president
Moving
from
on, we have
4
the
years
God
ago.
of
I'm not gonna
Chaos,
mention his
Golb.
name.
Now, Golb is a malevolent entity who is directly related to the concept of chaos, shifting hordes of candy people into giant wraiths that attack everyone else. It has no problem taking people like Margie's and other Martians, digesting humans of all kinds, including Betty, Simon, and Finn, and is shown to be even more powerful than Ice King's crown. If it wasn't for Betty, it would have caused much more
Oh my
damage.
God.
It is chaos incarnate, and has no problems with that. Our bronze medal of evil goes to Bad Dad Warren Ampersand. Warren is Jake's biological father and a shapeshifter from the depths of
It turns out
space.
his parents
He
are
was out
actually
of
his
Jake's
adopted
life for
parents.
almost
Oh
30
my.
years, only going to his son when he was old and weak. It turns out that Warren only wanted to interact with Jake so that he can absorb the dog's life force so he could be young again. It turns out that he's done that with almost every other one of his kids, killing them in the process. And then he threatened to do the same with his grandkids. It's only when Jake throws him into a black hole does that stop his plans of absorbing all of his descendants. He ranks lower than Golb because Warren not only does horrible actions, but seems to enjoy them in a sadistic way. Whereas Golb seems to do things
Golb's
out of
so
instinct
evil.
and not just to sadistically increase his life. Uncle Gumball is the recipient of our Silver Medal of Evil. Gumball, like Lolly and Chicle, was created by Princess Bubblegum to be a family with her. Gumball had dreams of creating a candy city, only to be foiled by Princess Bubblegum. Gumball then creates the Dum Dum Juice, a potion that turns Flashspite into a candy person. And he uses it to turn Lolly and Chicle into obedient candy people, and tried to do the same to Bonibble, only to get it splashed on himself. This left him for hundreds of years as a giant living punch bowl until LSP turned everything back to its original form. Gumball immediately went back to his
Yeah, I
plans
didn't
of
even know those
treachery
candy
and
people
treason,
were
trying to
Bubblegum's
overthrow Princess Bubblegum,
family
getting
until
any help he could manage, like
this
reviving
happened.
Fern or before creating the Grumbo
till the
to
se-
attack
till the
the Candy
series
Kingdom.
neared its end.
Gumball even starts a war with Princess Bubblegum to take control of the Candy Kingdom. And when Finn forces everyone into a nightmare, he seems to change his mind, until it is revealed he was planning to betray Bonnibel again and splash her with the Dum Dum Juice. But his comeuppance is sweet, as he gets splashed with the Dum Dum Juice again and left as a punch bowl for the rest of his life. Finally,
Yeah,
our
he's
gold
left
medal
as a
of
punch
evil
bowl like
goes to
forever
none
now.
other than the Lich. The Lich is no question the most evil character in all of Adventure Time lore,
Oh,
and
geez.
there's no doubt about
The
it.
Lich
The Lich
has
is
to be the last
embodiment of
character.
the inevitable death of all things, and takes that to heart, as his goal is to end all things. If it wasn't for Billy trapping him in the tree resin he resided in for so long, he may have done this long ago. He possesses anyone and anything, ranging from the waving snail to Princess Bubblegum, or even the decaying corpse of Billy. He killed Prismo just to go to the Citadel so that he can cause more damage by releasing multiple dangerous cosmic criminals from the prison. He was possibly even the comet that destroyed the dinosaurs and caused a massive genocide. He even exists in every timeline thanks to some shenanigans in Farm World. If it wasn't for Sweet Pea fighting against his control, the world of Ooh might not even exist in its current form. But what do you guys think? Who are the most good and evil characters in all of Adventure Time? Thank you to
I think Ben and
Skillshare
Jake
for
are good.
sponsoring us today. Use the link in the
Ice
description
King is
for a
sort
free
of
trial
evil,
for
but
Skillshare
he's
Premium.
good.
Don't forget to hit that notification bell and binge our good
The reason why
Digital
he's
playlist,
like this is
where
because
we
of
break down
Ben.
the morality of the characters in your favorite cartoons, shows, and movies. But most importantly, stay wicked.
That was a very interesting video. We get to see what characters will rank from good to evil. Okay, well this reaction was good, unlike yesterday's reaction. But yeah. Yeah, we had a good week of reaction videos. We'll react to a 2-part Sonic video, and I'm sorry that part 2 was unfinished. The creator just kind of forgot about it and just abandoned it. It was basically the creator's abandoned project. And it'll probably stay like that forever. Unless he finishes it in the future. But who knows? Probably not. It probably unlikely. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, guys. And I'll see you on Monday for the next reaction video. Bye!